Fox has learned now that a potential meeting could be happening between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin as soon as next week. We're still waiting on details about this meeting. Let's bring in Congressman Brian Mast, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Thank you for joining us today, sir. Obviously, this would be a big deal. What would you want to see come from this?
Look, I think what has to take place, whether it's from Steve Witkoff or the president directly or whoever's speaking, a real clear example of how the walls are closing in around Vladimir Putin. Neither side has been brought to capitulation at this point by one side or the other, but it's up to President Trump to go out there and reassure this is what's taking place. He's making a deal today with Armenia and Azerbaijan, who are very much in the Russian sphere. He's making sure that those that are still supporting Russia and allowing them to prosecute this war, that there's secondary sanctions on those entities that's going to eliminate some of those funds that's allowing Russia to prosecute this war. The walls are closing in, and they will be brought to capitulation one way or another, to include by the military forces of the Ukraine, which haven't been able to do it at this point, but are also being supported by the United States and Europe as well. And that has to be the message, in my opinion, of what takes place to have any movement with Vladimir Putin. All
right. And as far as Secretary of State Marco Rubio is concerned, he says this is the goal. Listen.
The goal here is to end the war completely. Now, you could talk about the notion that it's very difficult to negotiate details of a peace if you're still shooting at each other. But sometimes you need an interim ceasefire simply to get everybody to the table and to talk. Because I've seen in the past, you have talks going on, something blows up somewhere, and people just walk away from the table.
Okay, so if the talks do happen, General Jack Keane suggested this is what Vladimir Putin could put on the table. Listen.
An example of something that Putin could put on the table would be no more airstrikes on civilian populations, and no more airstrikes, moratorium completely, withdraw some troops from some portion of Ukraine that he's physically occupying, and make a concession that he'll take control of these other portions of Ukraine. So there's plenty of options.
So lastly on that, Congressman, there are plenty of options. Clearly, General Keane just laid many of them out.
Yeah, many options, but what wasn't discussed right in that clip was that anything that moves forward has to be approved by Ukraine as well, right? And anything that would be any sort of concession of land has to go through the Ukrainian parliament. It has to go through a referendum in that way. So there would be an opportunity to have a vote there. Marco Rubio is absolutely right. You have two sides at the table that are literally warring with one another. President Trump pointed out 14,000 killed last month. And so it is important that he and his special envoy Witkoff are doing this mediation, because without them sitting at the table with them individually, there's just not an opportunity for those two sides to sit at the table with one another right now. I do believe President Trump can bring this to fruition, and I look forward to hearing the debrief from envoy Witkoff as well about what took place over the last couple of days.
Well, as we do anticipate that, I'll get a final thought from you on Netanyahu and his plans for Gaza. This is more from Bill's interview. Listen.
Are you saying today that you will take control of the entire 26-mile Gaza Strip?
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life.
So an update to that, Congressman, is a follow with Vice President Vance earlier today in that bilat with the UK's David Lammy about their decision to recognize the state of Palestine. Listen here.
We have no plans to recognize a Palestinian state. I don't know what it would mean to really recognize a Palestinian state, given the lack of a functional government there.
So let us know how you see all of this and what they have laid out, and if this is moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I'd make a couple of quick points. One, Israel is not doing something that they just want to do this. They're doing what they have to do, because this is what the intelligence tells them. This is where captives are being held. This is where they're being starved. This is where Hamas is still operating out of. They're doing what they have to do in order to eliminate this enemy and bring the innocent people home. They're also doing this anywhere that they go in. They try to move any civilians out of that population. Now, going to what Vice President Vance said, absolutely, you look at this and you say, it does nothing to recognize a Palestinian state other than give a level of credibility to the evil entity of Hamas that everybody has agreed started this war. This war exists because of their genocide that they committed against Israel. So anybody thinking about recognizing a Palestinian state, they are simply giving a power to the terror entity that is the de facto government in the Gaza Strip.
Congressman Brian Mast, appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.